Breaking news. The week started off very hot behind the scenes at the Detroit Lions. Brad Holmes is working day and night to make the best possible choices during this draft period. The team needs some adjustments if the Lions want to reach the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell has already shown that he is anxious to start the season, and we can certainly expect the best. If you are confident that the Detroit Lions will have an excellent season, press the like button. If possible, write like this: Go Lions! Let's go to the Super Bowl. Okay, here are the updates. The Detroit Lions have the 28th pick in the upcoming NFL draft. But the real action may not be about who they select, it may be about who they trade. Trey Hendrickson, the Cincinnati Bengals' dominant pass rusher, is at the center of a contract standoff that could shake up the league. And with the Lions hungry to bolster their defense, this situation just got very interesting. Jeremy Fowler of Bleacher Report confirmed that Hendrickson has no intention of playing under his current contract, which has just 1 year and $16 million remaining. It's a steal for a player of his caliber, but Hendrickson wants top 5 money, somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 to $35 million per year. The Bengals? They're playing hardball. They're not eager to trade him, nor are they in a rush to extend him. And that's where things start to get really complicated. Let's break this down. Cincinnati has already invested heavily in their offense, making Jamar Chase and T. Higgins the highest-paid wide receiver duo in the league. Their financial priorities seem clear, and yet they refuse to budge on Hendrickson. They've essentially put a ridiculous price tag on him, daring teams to meet their trade demands while also risking losing him for nothing if he holds out. And that's exactly what Hendrickson might do. If he refuses to play, the Bengals lose leverage and he loses money, unless a team steps in with an aggressive move before the draft. Now, here's the big question. Are the Detroit Lions that team? Brad Holmes has yet to really break the bank for a free agent, but that doesn't mean he's unwilling. The Lions have cap flexibility, and they've proven that if they want someone, they'll go get him. Just look at last year's draft when they surprised everyone by selecting Jahmyr Gibbs and then quickly trading away DeAndre Swift. Could we see another draft day shocker? One key factor here is Dan Campbell's connection to Hendrickson. He was in New Orleans when the Saints drafted him, meaning there's already familiarity and trust. And if Campbell believes Hendrickson is the missing piece, that could be all the motivation Holmes needs to pick up the phone. The Lions have an elite young pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, but imagine pairing him with a veteran sack artist like Hendrickson. That's a move that could take this defense from good to absolutely terrifying. But there's another layer to this: money. If the Lions commit to Hendrickson at $35 million per year, how does that impact Hutchinson's future contract? Hutchinson is on track to demand a monster deal of his own, maybe even more than Myles Garrett, who's currently the highest-paid defensive end in the league. Does Hendrickson's arrival complicate that negotiation? Or does it create a situation where Hutchinson waits, knowing that the longer he holds off, the bigger his payday will be? Let's be clear. This isn't just about one trade. It's about the Lions' long-term vision. Holmes and Campbell have built a roster with financial discipline, making smart signings instead of reckless splashes. But now, with Super Bowl expectations on the rise, the time for patience might be over. If they believe Hendrickson is the piece that puts them over the top, they might just pull the trigger. So, what do you think? Should the Lions go all in and bring Hendrickson to Detroit? Or is the price, both in draft capital and money, too steep? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this one's going to spark some serious debate. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's really break this down. If the Lions were to make a move for Trey Hendrickson, what would it actually cost them? The Bengals are reportedly looking for a first-round pick, which means Detroit would have to give up their 28th overall selection. That's a steep price, especially when you consider that Hendrickson is already 29 years old and looking for a massive payday. But let's play devil's advocate. If you're Brad Holmes, what are you really weighing here? On one hand, you have the 28th pick, a spot where you could land a talented young pass rusher on a cheap rookie deal. But on the other hand, there's no guarantee that a rookie will develop into a dominant force. Hendrickson, on the other hand, is already a proven commodity. He's coming off a 17.5 sack season, has been an impact player for years, and would immediately elevate the Lions' pass rush. And let's not Forget. This defense was exposed in the playoffs. When Detroit ran into the 49ers in the NFC Championship, they simply couldn't get enough pressure on Brock Purdy. That was one of the biggest reasons they let that game slip away. Aiden Hutchinson was a monster, but he needs help. Right now, the Lions don't have a true, consistent threat on the other side. James Houston showed flashes in 2022, but injuries derailed him last season. Could he return to form? Maybe. But maybe doesn't win Super Bowls. Now let's talk about the financial side, because this is where things get really tricky. Hendrickson wants to be a top 5 paid edge rusher, which means he's looking at a deal in the range of $35 million per year. That's a huge number. The Lions have managed their cap well, but at some point, they need to start thinking about paying their young core. Aiden Hutchinson's extension is looming. Penei Sewell and Amon Ross Street Brown also need new contracts soon. This is the dilemma. Can the Lions afford to pay all of those guys and still sign Hendrickson? Or would bringing him in mean sacrificing the ability to extend one of their young stars down the line? That's the $1 million, or should I say $35 million question.
But here's the flip side. You don't get unlimited chances to win a Super Bowl. The Lions were this close last year. The roster is built to win now. Jared Goff is playing at a high level, Ben Johnson is back for another season as offensive coordinator, and the NFC isn't exactly stacked with dominant teams. If there was ever a time to make an aggressive move, it's right now. Think about what happened last year. The Lions made a bold move in the draft when they selected Jahmyr Gibbs earlier than expected and then traded DeAndre Swift days later. People doubted the move at the time, but guess what? Gibbs was a difference maker. Could Holmes and Campbell have another surprise up their sleeve this year? One more thing to consider, Hendrickson is on the Bengals right now. But if Detroit doesn't make a move, some other team could swoop in and land him. Imagine if he ends up with a contender like the Cowboys, Eagles, or even a division rival like the Packers or Bears. Suddenly, you're not just missing out on a star pass rusher, you're competing against him. This is a franchise-defining moment for Brad Holmes. If he wants to push the Lions over the top, Hendrickson could be the move that gets them there. But if he overcommits financially, it could create long-term challenges. So, Lions fans, it's time to sound off. Should Detroit go all in and trade for Hendrickson? Or should they sit tight, keep their draft pick, and trust the process? Would you be willing to pay him $35 million per year? Or does that money need to be saved for Hutchinson, Sewell, and St. Brown? Drop your thoughts below, because this debate is just getting started. And here's where things get really interesting. If the Lions do not trade for Trey Hendrickson, what's their plan B? Because let's be honest, standing still isn't an option. The pass rush needs help. The NFC is wide open. If the goal is a Super Bowl, they must address this one way or another. If Detroit decides to pass on Hendrickson, that likely means they'll be looking for a pass rusher in the draft. But here's the problem. The 28th pick is not a prime spot for landing an elite defensive end. The top-tier edge rushers like Dallas Turner, Alabama, Laiata Latu, UCLA, and Jared Verse, Florida State, will likely be long gone by then. Sure, they could trade up, but that also costs capital, and there's no guarantee that a rookie will come in and dominate from day one.